Second down, 3. Giants ball in the Houston 44. We're approaching 3 minutes remaining in the third period. 87 yards for Johnson and 21 carries. Again, breaks away. Oh, miraculous balance. The balance of this man is unbelievable. You can't seem to knock him down.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you could maybe give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment below or possibly even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But just please, anyway, thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, it's just kind of odd. I mean, how it's taken a couple days for it to come out with Daniel Jones with his neck, but more than just a couple minutes here. The Giants brought in like 9 different guys just to try him out and all that. Right? It's been kind of quiet on the Western Front there for a little while as far as guys, what I've been hearing anyway, bringing guys in to try him out and all that and everything. But they brought in 9 guys. One of them, was the 2019 Pan American Wrestling Champion, gold medal winner, Adam Kuhn. He hadn't played football since his senior year in high school in 2013. So he hadn't played football in a while. But he played when he was in high school. He was on offensive line and he played linebacker. But I mean, we're going back 8 years ago. Now he was with the Titans in training camp, and they waived him due. He had an injury, and they wound up waiving him. He's 6'5", 295 pounds, and he's listed as like a guard. So they brought him in. When he was at Michigan, right, he was a 3-time All-American as a heavyweight wrestler. Greco-Roman style. So, he's certainly got the size, he's got the athletic ability and all that and everything. There was a video on here listening to some of the coaches like from Tennessee. Vrabel was one of them, talking about Kuhn. He's just talking about his work ethic. He's tough as nails. His strength, his flexibility. Being able to play with power and he's got a lot going for him. But they said that he's like very raw. I mean, one of the coaches, wasn't Vrabel, I forgot who it was talking about, he's raw. I mean, meaning like showing him how to get into a proper stance, showing him how to read the playbook. I mean, starting off at like, the very, very basics. Because, you're playing high school football and then you get to try for the pros. I mean, you're talking pretty much night and day. So it's like they had to go back and pretty much start almost everything all over him again. So if he does wind up signing with the Giants, I don't know if it's going to happen. But if he were, he'd probably be a long-term project. He ain't somebody that's gonna. It ain't no plug-and-play player here. If he were, to make the Giants, maybe the practice squad or whatever, you ain't gonna see him this year. So he's a long-term project. But I mean, he's got the size. He's doesn't have injuries. He had a little injury with the Titans, but in high school, college, he wasn't injured or anything like that. So, but more on him maybe at another time. But I mean, it's kind of interesting to see bringing somebody like him in. But I mean, I wouldn't expect to hear anything much from him at all if they even wind up signing him. They brought in a bunch of other guys. They brought in like wide receivers Tariq Black and Travis Johnson. These guys I've never heard of them. They brought in defensive back John Brannon and Nate Brooks. Never heard of him. And they brought in running back Benny LeMay. Never heard of him. They brought in defensive end Justice Reed. Never heard of him. Then they brought in a quarterback, and I mean, it's like talking about scraping the bottom of the barrel. Oh my God! I mean, if we have to depend upon this guy, we're in a lot of trouble. We'll never win another football game ever again. I got Jacob Dolgala. All right, he's from the Powerhouse Football School, Central Connecticut State. Oh yes, that school, Central Connecticut State, the Powerhouse. He's looking on online. He has like 2 years worth of stats, 2017 and 2018. From what I saw, I was looking on Pro Football Focus and all that. He had like 2017, he played against Syracuse, one game. He was 6 out of 19, 31.6% completion percentage. He went for 86 yards. He had one touchdown pass. So he did have a touchdown pass. 2018, he played a game against Ball State. He was 14 out of 24 for 58.3% completion. He had 117 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So, I mean, he was drafted in 2019 by the Bengals, but, I mean, I don't know. I just don't know why some of these guys, they bring some of them in. I have no idea. I mean, it's like, hey, you were Central Connecticut State, right? You played in 2 games. Yeah, we'll try you out. I mean, wow. Guys, I just don't know. Then they brought in a punter, Joseph Charlton. He was waived by the Panthers. He had a problem, a lower back injury, and that might have been affecting his play this year. And he was injured, and now he's healthy again, but they don't need him, and they want to waive him. So the Giants wound up bringing him in. Now last year, 2020, it wasn't too bad. He had 45 punts and he averaged 46.3 yards per punt. This year, he only had 21 punts and he only averaged 39.1 yards per punt. Now, but apparently that might have been because of his lower back as well. I don't know if they're planning on, trying to light a fire under Dixon, because he wasn't really super stellar this last game, or if they're just trying different guys out, or what. I'm not exactly sure. But I mean, Dixon, the last drive, he had a couple punts that just were not very good. I mean, he's doing a nice job once again this year, but. The last drive, after Daniel Jones took that 8-yard sack, the last thing you needed was a short punt. I mean, it wasn't super, it was 39 yards. But, I mean, when you want a booming punt, that's the time you want a booming punt. You get the ball as far down the field as humanly possible, and it went 39 yards. And then you combine that with the 8-yard sack that Daniel Jones took, I mean, it made it even worse. He also had a 36-yarder during the game as well. I mean, and you're in the pros, and you can't get a 40-yard punt off. It's not very good. There's another one he had in there was a 42-yarder, but I mean, he had a couple of short ones. But I mean, the one that was very disappointing was that last one of the game. It was a 39-yarder. The Eagles started I think it was like their own 32-yard line or something. That's when you needed to pin them down around the 20 or so, whatever. Make them drive even farther. Because, I mean, if you kick it like an extra 10 yards, that's maybe one more completion. The clock might be running. That might be 10, 12, 13 seconds or whatever runs off the clock. That might be the difference in the ball game right there. That's when you needed a good punt, and they didn't wind up getting it. So, as far as I know, they haven't signed any of these guys, but it's just interesting that they brought 9 guys in. Then you got the big news. I mean, you got Daniel Jones. It's kind of interesting that the game was Sunday early, and then it's like 2 days later, you're finding out, hey, he's not going to play. He's got a problem with his neck. It's like, what? Apparently, it happened on the second play from scrimmage against the Eagles. He was, I guess, trying to slide, and somebody wound up hitting him and strained his neck. He wound up playing the rest of the game. I mean, you gotta give him credit for that. He's a tough dude. I mean, you gotta look at his injuries. I mean, he had the high ankle sprain in 2019. That's when remember Eli came in. I think it's the last game, which happened to be against the Miami Dolphins, which we're playing this coming up week. Then sliding last year against the Bengals when he wound up missing time. He had the hamstring problem. Then he had probably was trying to run in, trying to get a touchdown against the Cowboys, and he wound up getting concussed. Wasn't a bad concussion, but he still got concussed. He was wobbly leaving off the field, and he missed the whole second half. So now we got once again running. He has a neck strain. I wish he'd be more like Lamar Jackson. I mean, the guy runs like 30 times a game, and he doesn't seem to get hurt. But I guess maybe that's why Eli Manning lasted so long or never wound up getting hurt. All these times that Daniel Jones has gotten hurt is when he's either scrambled or he's run with the ball or something. We'll have to see. I mean, I saw different reports, saying that he's definitely out for this week. Then I saw another report he might miss some time, meaning he might miss a couple games. We'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, then that winds up leaving, up to Mike Glennon now. Now Daniel Jones played pretty much obviously the whole game with this neck strain, and he was 19 out of 30 for 202 yards and 1 touchdown. No interceptions, no fumbles, and nothing like that. So did this really maybe hamper his throwing ability? Maybe. Who knows? But he's a tough dude. He fumbles. You can go on and on with different things that he maybe does wrong. I mean, some of it's his fault, some of it's the offensive line's fault, some of it's Evan Ingram's fault, dropping balls or whatever. But I mean, one thing you can't deny: Daniel Jones is a tough dude. He's a good athlete. He's a tough dude. Period. End of story there. So now you got Mike Glennon in there. All right. Now he basically played. Like the second half was pretty much like against the Dallas Cowboys. He did good. He was in there. He was slinging it. I mean, he was 16 out of 25. Right, so that was like about 30%. About 60% pass completion. So, I mean, not super spectacular, but for backup. Right, he had 196 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions, though. But he averaged about 8 yards per pass attempt, which is pretty good. All right. Now, maybe if we're lucky, I mean, we got to keep our eyes and fingers crossed and all that. Maybe Kadarius Toney, maybe might come back. Maybe we can get Sterling Shepard. Maybe we can get Caden Smith. Maybe we can get Kyle Rudolph. Maybe we get some of those guys back. I'll have to wait and see. Now, against the Cowboys, when Glennon was in there, he didn't have Sterling Shepard, and of course Saquon twisted his ankle early on in the game, and he was out the whole rest of the game. So I mean, Glennon was missing a couple of the better weapons that we have. So, but I mean, he did, adequate. I mean, as I said, he was in there slinging at 16 out of 25 for almost 200 yards passing. He only played like a little more than a half. So, now he's pretty much been I think this is like his 6th team. 2013 to 2016, he was with Tampa Bay. 2017, he was with Chicago. 2018, he was with Arizona. 2019, he was with the Oakland Raiders. 2020, he was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In 2021, he's obviously with the New York Giants. So he's been bouncing around pretty much the past 5-6 years or whatever, just on different teams. Lifetime, he's completed 61.2% of his passes. So, an awesome top of the line starter? Absolutely not. I mean, a nice, adequate backup, yeah. With a lot of experience, yeah. I mean, he's been around since 2013, so he's seen a lot. All right, he's throwing for over 6,400 yards passing. He's had 44 touchdowns. I mean, one thing is he's thrown more touchdowns than interceptions. He has 44 touchdown passes and 27 interceptions. The one problem is that as a starter, he's 6 wins, 21 losses. So he's not that great as a record as a starting quarterback. Now, the Dolphins are kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde here a little bit. The Dolphins in 12 games, right? So they played more games than most of the other teams, right? But they've given up the most passing yards in the NFL in those 12 games. They've given up 3,150 passing yards in those 12 games. And they've also given up. They're seventh. They've given up 20. They've given up 20 touchdown passes. Right. But they're like the exact opposite of like what the Eagles were. The Eagles get pressure with their front four, and the Eagles don't blitz a lot. The Dolphins, they're number 2 in blitzing. All right, they blitz 38.4% of the time. There's only one team that blitzes more than they do. I think that was Tampa Bay. They're tied for number 10th overall. All right, with 28 sacks. All right, so they get pressure, they blitz, and they get some sacks. They're number 5 overall. They get pressure, the 5th highest. They get pressure on the quarterback 27% of the time. They're very, very good at that. But then they're 28th overall. They only give up completions 61.9% on passes. So they don't give up. They're very low. They're very good at giving up only 61.9% completion rate, which is very, very low. But they've given up the most passing yards. They get a lot of pressure. They get a lot of sacks. They get a lot of blitz, but they give up a lot of touchdowns and they give up a lot of yards. They're number 5 overall. They've given up the 5th worst team. They've given up 262 yards per game passing. So they're a little Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Some of the stuff is a little, and they're number 1 overall. They've defensed 70 passes. So they defend a lot of passes, but they give up a lot of touchdowns. They give up a lot of yards, but they don't give up a high completion percentage. They blitz a lot, they get pressure, they get sacks, but they give up a lot of yards. They're number 9 overall. They give up 11.6 yards per pass completion, not pass attempt. Every time a ball gets completed on them, they give up 11.6 yards per pass completion. So, they're, like I said, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. So, I mean, Glennon's going to have to be careful. Kitchen's going to have to be careful. Our offensive line's going to be good because they're going to be throwing, they blitz a lot, period. Now you got a backup quarterback in there. He's got a lot of experience. So, but they're going to blitz him a lot. So we got to be careful. Maybe like real quick stuff. But he's going to see a lot of pressure. So it's going to be, it's going to be interesting. If we can get a running game going, that would be huge. That would really, really help him out. Then, of course, they wind up signing Jake Fromm off of the Bills practice squad. Now we got Brian Lewerke and Jake Fromm behind Mike Lennon. Now, Jake Fromm, I mean, when he was with Georgia, every year he was in college by Pro Football Focus, he graded out over an 80. He graded out like an 86 his junior year. He didn't play his senior year. He went to the draft. Now he was supposed to wind up, his junior year. I mean, I think we had like higher expectations for him in the draft. He wound up going 5th in the 5th round in the 2020 draft. So, I mean, it's exciting. I saw somebody on one of these Facebook group pages and all. Somebody posted something. sign. I'm so happy we signed Jake Fromm. He's got a lot of potential and all that. Yeah. It was his second year in the league, and he's still on somebody's practice squad. I mean, I'm not nailing it. I'm not closing the coffin shut on him, putting the final nails in him, and saying he'll never be a good quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this is his second year in the league. He came from a big school, and he's on somebody's practice squad, and they didn't even protect him. You know, I mean, you can protect 3-4 guys on the 4 guys each week on the practice squad, so nobody else can touch him. All the other guys, you know, if somebody else wants to pluck them, they can pluck them if they want, just like the Giants did. The Giants went to the Bills practice squad and plucked Jake Fromm off there. So I mean, if you think you might have a little diamond in the rough there, you're going to protect them. They didn't protect them, and we plucked them. So. I mean, I really wouldn't, anybody out there getting any kind of inklings or anything like that, like we might have a star in the making here. I don't really think so. I mean, it would be nice, but I don't think so. I mean, if the Bills didn't protect him and they let the Giants take him, that's not saying much for Jake Fromm. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants! Woo!